And how did it feel riding the steel frame?
I was actually...
The Dark Star certainly gets passions ignited when it comes to cycling. On the last video that I did with this bike where I talked about steel frames are so much fun. I didn't say they were more fun than carbon fiber. I said they're so much fun. That video, which I'll post a link to so you can check out, elicited a lot of remarks, comments, mostly positive. I don't think that there are really any negative comments on there, but different people did challenge the assertion of the viability of a steel frame in comparison to what you're able to get from a carbon frame today. But I acknowledge that carbon is a better performing bike. Well, in that last video, a channel viewer and the guy who actually jumps into some of the rides that I jump into on a weekend, he had this to say.
Come on, I say this with all due respect. Carbon beats steel in every category except nostalgia. Maybe you just haven't found the carbon frame with the right geometry and layup yet, but trust me, it's out there. Once you do, you won't want to go back to steel, titanium, or aluminum. Praising steel bikes is like praising a 1990 Mercedes SL over a 2025 AMG GT. Charming, sure, but performance has moved on. And to which I said, Jorg, whenever you want to, I'll let you take my bike out for a spin.
So we're able to agree on the time to meet up and also the format of what we're going to do in the ride. We're going to push. We're just going to kind of like feel out the sensations of the bikes. And then he's going to tell me how he felt, and I was going to tell him how I felt. And I'll do a video later on where I'm going to talk about how I felt about riding his bike. But for those of you who are new to the channel, I'm going to post a link to the playlist that I have about this bike because I've done a lot of content on it. What I've mostly done is I've taken it out on fast group rides to see how close I can get it to perform in regards to high performance carbon frames.
So we would do a bike swap and a short ride. We rode out of Markham Park for a quick 1-hour tempo ride in Weston. I'll post the ride stats somewhere on here. Now, I'm glad I got a chance to enjoy a first impressions ride of the Canyon Aeroad CFR. Definitely a bike that I had been wanting to ride, equipped with Dura-Ace Di2 and those really nice DT Swiss 1100 with the 180 hubs in 62 millimeters. Anyway, here is Jorg in his own words after riding the Dark Star steel frame bike. Jorg from Germany, right?
I'm from Germany, that's correct.
So I've been saying your name wrong the whole time.
You actually did a pretty good job.
Okay.
And George is fine. Something between Jorg and George is all good.
Okay. And how did it feel riding the steel frame?
I was actually pleasantly surprised, I have to admit. I mean, I was expecting a classic steel frame that I'm used to, which has a bit of a softness, especially lateral softness, where you would feel the bottom bracket giving a little when you push hard on the pedals, or it feels a little unstable when you're going fast, especially in cornering. And I have to admit, didn't feel any of that. I mean, it was a very, very cool ride. It was comfortable. Was it significantly more comfortable than my Canyon? Hard to tell. I mean, I think it comes down really to the wheel set that you have on, how much tire pressure you run. It was a comfortable ride, but not significantly more comfortable than the Canyon, I think. The only, as I mentioned before, the only difference that I noticed was in cornering. So I feel more comfortable on the Canyon, but that really might just be I'm used to this geometry and that bike and didn't spend a lot of time on the steel frame yet. Just great.
And the geometries are very close between both
Almost
bikes, right?
As we just figured out, yes.
Now, one thing I did notice, you did a little bit of cyclocrossing in the grass a couple times.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Yeah, so that was when I grabbed my bottle and we came pretty close and
Yeah.
had nowhere to go other than left. No, it was fine. I mean, I just had to hop on the grass and then hop off again. It felt stable. I mean, I didn't really get the feeling like, something was shaky or unstable in the bike. No, it felt really good.
Okay. All right, George, I appreciate you. And I appreciate you reaching out and taking me for a spin. All right, thank you. And so you can see we weren't putting around 21 miles at a 19 mile an hour average. Just us two riding side by side and talking pretty much the entire time. And here are Jorg's power numbers because he had the power meter pedals on his bike. I believe this is accurate. 167 watts for our effort.
Whenever I spend a lot of time riding my carbon frames and then I get back on this bike, it's like a rush of incredulity of how good this bike feels for it being a bike that's about 11 years old, made out of steel, mechanical shifting, rim brakes, I'm limited to 28 millimeters in the front, 26 millimeters in the back. If you're unfamiliar with this bike, this is the Dark Star. As far as I know, this is one of about 4. That's as far as my knowledge and information goes. I have a series of videos on this bike and the history. I'll post a link to it so that you can kind of like come up to speed with the bike. But what it is a steel frame made with modern characteristics out of Columbus Spirit tubing. It has a 44 millimeter head tube with a tapered stereo tube, a press fit PF30 bottom bracket, and as the bike stands right here, it's equipped with Campagnolo record 12 speed. And by the way, York didn't even mention the whole idea that he was riding a bike with mechanical shifting and rim brakes. Apparently it wasn't a deficiency because it did not come up. Okay guys, I hope that you've enjoyed that. It was really fun having an opportunity to get out there with York. Great guy. I'm looking forward to doing more rides with him. In fact, tomorrow I may be taking a Dark Star out to the Ride 84, and in that case, I'll see York out there. But you guys know the deal. Let your voices be heard in the comment section below. And no, this isn't a free-for-all where people are going to be able to put comments and then get a free spin on a Dark Star. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately, guys, or fortunately. Thank you for continuing to support the channel by watching these videos, liking, commenting, and subscribing. As always, our aim here is to inform, instruct, inspire. Be blessed.